time, I will call the meeting to order. The chair called me slightly after 1 o'clock and told me he would not be here today, that he had a family emergency, and asked me to stand in for him. We certainly wish him and his family the best, and we'll be thinking about them. I'd like to welcome you all here today for this call meeting, and we will, at this time, it is not on this agenda, but I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is develop budget for the CARES Act and the HAVA funds for the 2020 general election. I'm going to ask Amy if she will do her presentation and bring us up to date on this.
First of all, you may want to, I don't know if you need to just all be in agreement or to make a vote on if you want the funds to come to the county in a lump sum or to remain at the state and we do reimbursements through them. That's the decision, John.
Yeah, I would say that would be, obviously a board decision. If there's an option that the board need options available, the board will make that decision.
So what are the pros and cons?
The finance director thinks it would be easier all the way around to leave the funds at the state level and just do reimbursement. It will still, the money that is there will still be in an interest-bearing account. That was what she proposed.
So the county would then be paying any disbursements we might have. The county would write the check, and then there would be a reimbursement coming from the state funds to cover the counties.
That's correct. Versus if the county gets a lump sum, it's the county's responsibility to submit a report each month telling them what the funds were and doing a detailed description of that kind of thing. So,
Will they have to be extra personnel to take care of this if the county gets the money to send that monthly report in, or would they be still to the finance office?
Pat did not say that, but I'm assuming, since it's our office, that we would prepare something.
It was my understanding, in talking to Pat the other day, that the simple way to do it for the finance department would be for the money to be held by the state board. And however, it's still, correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, it still needs to be approved by the commissioners before we spend it. Is that your understanding?
What we accept as a lump sum.
Right.
Yes, yes, and the state actually uses QuickBooks to track the spending.
Are there questions about that before we move on?
So it was the finance director's recommendation.
Yes.
She recommends it stays with the state and then we spend it in.
Yes. Do you already have any further questions about that? Before we move on, I suppose we need to decide about that by vote. Do I have a motion for that?
I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Election, our Board of Election, would leave the CARES money at the state and that us send reports in as we use it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All approve, like sign. Anyway, that's what we'll do. Amy, do we need to sign something?
No, this form needs to be put on letterhead, and it's supposed to be signed by the elections director, and I will just mark through it and put senior deputy director unless you have a director by the time, once this is completed.
Okay. Okay, what else do you have for us?
The next form is just one that everyone has to fill out. Is that correct, Donnie?
Let's see what.
It's the standard certifications. And it goes on letterhead as well.
What does it say at the top? To U.S. Election Assistance Commission via the State Board of Elections?
Yes.
Does the board need to take any action on that, Amy?
I don't think so. I think each county just signs and dates and submits.
Any questions about that for Amy? Would you like to go ahead?
Okay. The next item that I have up is the email from, or the memo from Karen Brinson Bell and Amy Strange telling you about the CARES Act, the HAVA funds, and then there are descriptions following as to what you can buy with these funds. And I sent this to each of you in an email, so I think you've all had that. Maybe you had time to look over it. The next thing I have in your packet is a spreadsheet that I created. And I want to be clear, it is not an Amy plan. It's a starting point for you guys to set your plan. The things that you see on here are things that I've seen from other county board of elections, the things that they are requesting. So, and you may know of other things. I put as much on here as I have seen and could think of. But I do want to mention in the HAVA funds, especially in the HAVA funds, which I'm kind of excited about. And now HAVA funds is a first come, first serve. And I do have an email into Amy Strange asking about the nuts and bolts of how you do that. We will be able to purchase the Brady Integrated Security System for the office and the workshop. And I mean, we're pretty excited about that, but Lance and Pat and I have been talking about it, and we did get confirmation from Amy Strange that it did fall under the HAVA funds. So we're excited about that. I don't know how you want to do it. Do you want to go through each one of these line items that I have on here?
Well, it's my suggestion that you give us, I'm going to propose this to the board, a brief overview of the information you have. And then there is an item that is going to require going into a closed session. And subject to the board at that time, I would like to pause the budget discussion because we do have someone from another office coming down here, and I hate to take up as much of their time. So after you go through your presentation, if we could pause this discussion and then go back and talk about it further when we come back into open session. So if you'll go ahead with what you have.
Okay, I talked about the HAVA, the security system, and then next on the list, I have it's a OKI printing solution. It's a printer. It's what we use to print the voter cards. It's been messing up for quite a while, so I'm hoping maybe we can get one of those. The cards get hung, black ink gets in the rollers, and it smudges across the cards, and a lot of times we have to reprint them, and they tear. And then a printer for the deputy director's desk. There's never been one there to my knowledge. And if we have a big print job going to the copier, because her printer is defaulted to the copier, she has to stop and she has to wait, and she can't print what she needs because the printer's being utilized by someone printing a big print job. So those are the two, I mean, you guys may know more, as, you know, for HAVA funds. For the CARES Act, the first thing is the precinct official pay, increased number of precinct officials, the mandated additional 10 hours per weekend during early voting, okay. You guys voted on this at the last meeting, and I have it itemized out in a sheet in the packet. We can go over that. If you want to go over it right now, we can go over it right now, or if you'd like to continue.
I'd like to continue because it's going to be some more detail.
Yeah, it'll be a little detailed. Yeah, it may take a little. I tried to do it simply. It seemed simple to me, but my simple may not be simple for everyone else. Well, that figure is quite large, $51,030. And then for additional temporary staff, a lot of this, it's hard to base it on. Right at this moment, I have a lot of documentation in here, but at this moment, we have 874 absentee request forms in our system. On one of our tables back here that we're waiting to open the mail from the last 2 days, I'd say we have 100 to 200 that we have to process.
In addition to the 874.
That's correct. And I think our total in 2016 for that presidential election, I have a sheet in here showing, it's not a grand total, but it's showing each total, the civilian, the overt and the military, and I'm thinking it was around 1,400 for the whole year. So, I mean, it's major, the amount that we're getting right now. So what I'm saying is with additional staff, I just added $10,000, which is another 1,000 hours. I have no clue as to what we will need. But I did include some things from 2016, like the hours that were utilized at that time, the hours remaining, that report. So you can look at that. Then we have, this has not been discussed with you guys. It's just a suggestion. I know we increased one stop. This would be an increase for election day precincts and the officials during that time frame. And you can see the amount that I put there. That would be something that, you have to vote on. And as far as postage increase, I added an additional $5,000. Now, in your packet, I do have the ledger from the postage that was used in 2016 as a comparison. It's like I said, right now, it's kind of hard to gauge anything. Advertising, I increased $1,500. I have the ledger for the advertising in here as well. And my description would be additional advertising for one-stop early voting and information. Information is probably going to be very critical. They just told us, the girl just told us that they had received, and I received one before I could walk in here, phone calls, that people were starting to text their cell phones saying something about early voting, or if you wanted to request an absentee ballot request form. And we know neither the state board nor the county board would ever send out a text. So I'm just putting in 1,500. You may think more, you may think less, I don't know. PPE supplies for one-stops and precincts. Yes, the state is supplying much of our PPE, which we've already ordered, and it will be delivered sometime in September is what they're saying. And I've gotten with Ronnie Tate. He is arranging for us to have storage space. But these things will not be covered by the state. Tabletop shields, we have talked to maintenance, and they should be able to make the 7 tabletop shields per precinct. I think the cost is gonna be between $2,000 and $3,000. Some of the vendors are sending out advertisement, and the tabletop shields that they have, some of them are like $199 each, or $99 each. So it'll be a huge savings for our maintenance department to build our tabletop shield. Painter's tape, we need items like that to mark your distance, social distancing, your 6 feet. We have a bunch of duct tape out there, but are there items you cannot stick duct tape to? Thermometers, they want one at each precinct to check the workers. When they come in, you cannot check a voter, but to check the workers. Plastic ponchos, some of the workers may feel more comfortable having another covering over their clothes. This is just possibilities. Tents, if anyone watched the conference, one suggestion was for your curbside, weather permitting, have tents outside and tables, and if at all possible, have a tablet or laptop out there. Process what you can of your curbside outside, because they anticipate increased curbside voting. We need containers to transport the PPE to the precincts, to the one-stops. And additional curbside supplies. You need some types of supplies that you can clean. They have to be sanitized. I tried to find plastic legal size clipboards, and they are very expensive. We do have the legal size in the wooden, the brown colored ones. That may be what we have to use. And then your secrecy sleeve, you need to be able to clean that. It was a suggestion during the conference to use the manila folders, the legal size manila folders, to put the ballots in. But we don't have a large supply of those. So do we want to buy those? Do we want to research something else? And I put in again, increased supplies at precincts due to social distancing, and additional signage. Do we have enough signs? Do we need arrows? Do we need whatever signage to direct people? I mean, those are the kinds of things that I feel fall in the PPE supplies for one stop and precinct to carry out the election. And I just threw a figure out because I don't have quotes on everything. I have seen some things, but not everything.
So who did you consult when you were constructing this list of potential PPE supplies?
It comes from emails through the McKay Association, the conference, the director's training that we had, just things that we pulled out that we have not thought about.
If I could ask a question, I was not able to view the conference. Did they provide a list of their suggestions and cost, or?
They did not provide that. They are working on lists of different things to provide to us to help us. But they said that's in the workings, and they'll give us those things as soon as possible. But no, not really. I mean, every location is going to be different. You're going to have some large,
Wasn't a
some
lot
small.
of information given at all, I didn't think. I thought the conference was very redundant this time.
Really?
Yes.
Mhm. Did you see that they were saying that we may need more people? That you need people to clean the voting booths, may need something to, I don't know what, to indicate that, yes, this booth has been cleaned?
But one group of people talked about they used their greeter for
Right.
cleaning
Right.
the voting booths.
That's right, they did.
But if you've got a steady stream of people coming in, it seems like it'd be hard for the greeter to clean the booths.
It just depends on how many people you have there. I mean, it's hit and miss, I mean, and then you'll have, you'll want someone to sanitize when people enter and sanitize when they leave. And they have talked about, instead of doing I voted stickers, the state is trying to procure pins that say I voted and then carry it through the whole voting process.
Starting when they come in.
When they come in the door, someone hand them a mask, hand them a pen, and have the sanitizer ready. One of the precinct, or one of the directors said that had to do the second primary, said that most of the time people coming, the voters coming in, either brought their own mask or refused a mask. So you just don't know. And I have put in, the curbside alarms actually could go into HAVA funds if, if those are available. I feel we'll have increased curbside voting. I know we purchased 10 curbside alarms last year, but the ones that we had left, some of them don't work, some of them don't work well. So if we could get 15 more, there may be a couple of precincts that may need 2. And they'd all hopefully be workable.
And would that be a permissible usage of HAVA funds for that, for the curbside alarms?
I would think so, because it meets the ADA requirements.
And we are looking at the amounts that HAVA will allow, and we're well below the maximum. So if we get to a point where we're making a decision, I would favor moving that to another line item.
Now, the CARES Act money, Amy, isn't it 138,000
Yes, ma'am.
for CARES? But now the HAVA, we don't know what they will let us use because
It's
it has to be approved by the state.
Yes, ma'am. It's a minimum of $10,000, and it is a maximum as well. But it's like I said, in reading in some of the literature, I've read so much I can't tell you which one it's in. It's first come, first served. So we want to get a jump on how you go about requesting and get our request in if it's approved by you guys and the board, the board of commissioners.
Now, I will say that the finance director told me it is better to request almost all the money, because if we request a lesser amount and then have to go back and request they add some to it, it's more complicated. So when we do get to that point, we need to consider that.
But question, if we, in the CARES Act, we know we can get $138,064. So would they, if the state manages that, would they move that money, that specific amount of money, into an account for us to use?
Yes.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so if we don't, like you've got 95,530 here, if we save a little out to closer to the election, instead of spending all of it to see what needs we're going to have, we would be able to do that. We would be able to
Right.
hold a little bit back.
Right. So if you increase, like your PPE, if you increase that to get us up to that amount, and then as time goes on, we see we need something, the money's there, we can get it. And another thing that I thought about, when I was talking about painter's tape and duct tape, suppose someone puts down something on the floor that's not supposed to be and messes up a floor. Well, I mean, we're responsible. Someone made the mention of I think I asked the chairman, did each one of these precincts, was there a separate entrance and exit? You know, we know we have one here. But he said something about they could go out the front, and I'm assuming go through the church. You know, the church may not like you doing that, so we may possibly have to buy a clear runner to go across their carpet. Those are the kinds of things that may pop up, that may or may not. We don't know.
You know, we have had those issues in the past. You know, someone's messed up a carpet or something, then we've had to go to the expense of having the carpet cleaned. So that's probably something we would have to do with or without the runner. We'll talk about that when we get to the actual part of it.
Okay. The next thing I have is printing. We have, of course, increased absentee by mail envelopes, training manuals, and public information. I had to place the order today by noon for our absentee envelopes in order to have them back to send the ballots out by September 4th. So that order has already been placed, and I talked to Pat to make sure. I had to go ahead and code it as our printing, and I made sure that in the event we're awarded this CARES money, everyone is in agreement, then we could always change it over to the account that she will assign to the CARES Act money. So, but the vendor told me you have to have your order in by noon today. So our order is in.
Is it a local vendor?
If you hadn't asked me, I could have told you.
You can tell me later.
Okay.
I'm just curious. I don't know.
Okay. And the last thing I have is the deep cleaning. During the morning coffees and the huddles that we have each week or every other week, they suggest each precinct and one-stop location needs to be deep cleaned before and after voting. And then you always have that possibility that if someone contracts the virus, they may have to shut it. They may have to, yes ma'am, they may have to shut the precinct down or the one-stop down. And we may have to do another deep cleaning right then.
If during the early voting, someone working there has COVID,
Yes ma'am.
then does that precinct, that site stay open even after it's clean?
It was my assumption, I may be
Well,
wrong.
I submitted that question, but I never did get an answer back from the state on it.
Okay. I'm assuming once they have deep cleaned, then they would reopen.
That's what they usually do. If it's been deep cleaned, if somebody there has had it been deep cleaned, then they can open it back up. They usually keep it closed for a few days.
But I'm not sure we could stop the election process
Exactly.
for that.
Since you have 4 one-stops, I think they would want you to stop the voting process. They wanted you to have one one-stop per 20,000 voters, and we're right at 59. So we have one additional. So we would still have or meet the requirement that they have set forth.
At this time, I am going to entertain a motion to pause this discussion about this budget and move on down the agenda because our guests are here. So, do I have a motion to pause this discussion about the budget?
So moved.
I
Is there
second.
a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. And I will go down to the unfinished and the new business before we move on down. Royce indicated to me he did not have any unfinished business. Do you know of anything, Amy?
I do not.
Did any of you have anything?
No.
Juan? How about new business?
I do not have anything.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A6
Is that personnel?
for personnel, yes.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we're now back in open session and we'll pick up with the budget issue. Amy, You wanna go ahead with that?
I pretty much went over everything I had, you know, the deep cleaning we don't know about,
Who would do that deep cleaning? Is that something that we would contract with an outside source for?
Ronnie Tate says it depends on what we need to have done. What's the, where they spray? What's that called?
It's some kind of fog, something. What is it?
Fogging. The, maintenance staff can do the fogging.
Okay.
Um,
What about the cleaning other than Eaton Library? I know there's carpeted. Madison, I imagine, is carpeted also. What is it in Regional?
Salvation Army.
It's tile.
Well, that's tile, isn't it?
I think so.
So,
the-
and here, it's here. So we're looking at someone doing something to carpets, at least at 2 sites, wherever. And that would be, can our people do that?
That's what I was going to ask, ask if you guys would want to do, the list that has been prepared before where you have your precincts. Is that something that you can check on to see how many rooms would need to be cleaned? Is there an entrance and an exit that's separate for social distancing? Those kinds of things?
I think that, I was gonna suggest that later on, that's something that we need to look at. Because, I know,
Maybe even go to some sites.
I think we do need to visit some sites, because I know there are a couple of them that, it may be an issue.
Because I'm thinking of Eaton, I'm only thinking that one door back there, right?
The library,
Yeah.
unless you go back through the.
Through the library proper.
Yeah.
Eden,
Yes, yes.
Michael Roche and I talked, the library's not open at the moment.
Right.
And what we may can do is to put cones around so that they can, or chains, you know, or whatever.
To
so
go out
that
the front
they can
door?
Yes, to have a separate exit.
Well, if that's the case, though, we're gonna have somebody stationed at the front door. Otherwise, the public will come in thinking the library is open.
Unless it's locked from the outside and a sign put
And
up.
let's just
and they
use
can
it just as an
As
exit.
an exit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
We probably need to look at some sites.
Definitely. That's something we need to talk about. But let's get on with this budget issue.
Okay. So I was looking at what we have here. We don't have any numbers next to the deep cleaning, but up to that, you've got the 95,530 as the numbers. And that would leave approximately 42,534.
unless you're planning on moving the curbside alarms.
I'd like to see us move that over to the hall.
If we don't get it, are the curbside alarms that we have now enough to get us through?
It would probably get us through.
Okay, and if that's the case, I would like to do that as well. In fact, I'm prepared to put that in the form of a motion if that's appropriate, Madam Chairperson. May I?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we move the curbside alarm 15, the $3,000 amount from the CARES Act funds to the HAVA funds for the purpose of purchasing curbside alarms, 15 of them.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So Amy, would you make a note of that?
So that,
Increase that.
92,530, 22,000 over here. And as we understand it, as long as there's money there, we can go back. Do we need to put some kind of placeholder next to deep cleaning for purposes of presenting to the county commissioners at their next meeting?
A purpose?
Uh,
I'm sorry, I'm
No,
in
I was asking, we don't have anything next to deep cleaning. Do we want to put some kind of placeholder numbers there for purposes of presentation to them? No, it's probably better to leave it blank than to put numbers that we don't know about.
Well, here's the thing, we're gonna need to request the full amount of this money and get it approved by
Today?
them.
Today?
I think so that we can submit it to the state, and we won't have to go back and ask for more. Is that right?
That's correct, and according to Pat, it has to be in tomorrow in order to be on the agenda on the 17th.
County Commissioners meeting. Okay, so at least $45,000.
And so Ronnie Tate never gave you an amount about the cleaning supplies.
He did not. I asked, was there any type of cost associated with this for supplies, equipment, overtime staff? I mean, if maintenance does it and they have to do it after hours, then there would be overtime, provided that they work 40 hours, for him for the week. And he has not given me a reply. His answer was they need to do more than whatever you call it, the other. And no one has given a clear definition on deep cleaning. And I feel like it may be, I don't know, I've never requested a deep cleaning, but I mean, S&K, that's the proper name, does the building here in Governmental Center, but would they do a deep cleaning? I don't know.
Now, this money that the commissioners approved, 250,000, what was that, John, exactly? Was that not for some kind of cleaning air?
Air filtration system.
Yeah,
is what
that's
it
the
is.
ionization system.
But now this building will be included in that, will it not?
That, I don't.
It
recall
was
specifically.
included.
Was it?
243,000 that they got, that was some of the CARES Act money.
I was not able to watch that meeting. Did they give a time frame on when that would take place?
Not to my knowledge. Seems like they were leaving it up to Ronnie and his staff to get it scheduled, I
I don't know then what we should put down in the deep cleaning if we don't know anything.
Well, in anticipation of the possibility of having to shut a site down and clean it, I mean, you don't know.
Do y'all have any suggestions about
think.
that?
Well, if we put a figure in here and it's not the amount, we can always move this money around, can we not?
I would think.
Yeah, we can.
I think so. If you look at the descriptions, a lot of them are kind of the same.
Very vague.
Yes,
I think we just need to request something to use this money. But now what that amount is going to be for deep cleaning, I have no idea.
Yeah, because you could have one site or you could have all of them that had to be cleaned.
you don't know.
And this has to be done by when?
You guys have to vote on it today in
Right.
order for it to go on the agenda for the commissioners for Monday. That was what Lance said, he would give us the extension of 2
Because
months.
I was going to suggest that you ask Paul Murray if he has an estimate that we could put in there.
Okay.
Monday is August 17th. When is the next county commissioners meeting?
The 17th.
Okay, silly question. Monday is the 17th, and the county commissioners meeting is 17th. When's the next one after the meeting on the 17th
The
of
first
August?
Monday of September. Well,
So-
well, it'll be Tuesday
This is the
because
first-
of
Yes.
Labor Day.
So September 8th? So is this something that absolutely has to be on the county commissioner's agenda for Monday?
Well, we've got to get this HAVA money in requesting.
And
What's the
also,
deadline?
It's first come, first served.
and also the tabletop shields, Pat said they could not order the equipment to make them until it's approved.
So you're telling me that we need to go ahead and get it done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, if we can move the money around, I say you put $5,000 in there, and then you're gonna have to add some more money, because we've got $138,064.
I'm in agreement with that.
It's about $45,000.
Left after,
Yeah. After the, if you move the 3,000 from the CARES Act to the HAVA, that puts us at 92,530, subtracted from 138,64, which I believe is something like $45,534.
I thought it was 35,000.
Double check.
We have 138,064 on this sheet.
45. He's on 45. $45,534.
I have a question on this Brady integrated security system. There was a $1,700 or right at $1,800 maintenance fee each year. Did Derek tell us that would fall under his budget if we got the initial security system in?
Yes, ma'am, we have to pay the first one, the first maintenance payment, and then the following fiscal year, it would fall under his budget.
Thank you.
and that's included in this amount you have here.
Yes, ma'am. He did he told, Royce to do a little bit of an increase as well, because he's having to get a new quote, and he doesn't know, the parts could be ordered, out of the United States and cost a lot.
Sure.
So,
Do we know that we've estimated enough, and again, I know you said this was just your starting point, Amy, for the precinct official pay?
are you talking about the top number? For what you guys have budgeted and what you voted, yes. Now, if there comes a time when you have to have overtime, no. But I know.
Well, I
you said-
think we had talked about having some extra people so we wouldn't have overtime.
Exactly. And I agree with you, and plus we will have, on the weekends, we can utilize the Wentworth staff if they want to work. And when they get off at 5, if they want to go to another one-stop site that needs someone, we can utilize them there as well.
I just think with as many people as we've got, we shouldn't have to pay overtime if we utilize somebody.
And Luann, being a teacher, is awesome at developing schedules and those kinds of things. And she has offered to help each one-stop site coordinator develop a schedule.
I would like to see us to add some more money into the temporary staff and into the advertising to get the word out about our one-stop early voting, and also printing.
Yeah, I think printing is going to be an issue for sure. Is postage?
It wouldn't hurt to add.
Yeah, I mean, it would, if.
We've got a little over $40,000 left, and we could just add on to each one of these.
$45,534.
Well, if we add that 5,000 in for the
Cleaning.
cleaning,
Let's make
cleaning.
it 8.
I think we should make it 8.
the deep cleaning aid, the advertising increase to 3,000 instead of 1,500?
Yeah, you're talking about, okay, that's, double, yeah, I'm good with that.
3,000?
The printing to 15,000?
Postage,
Add 5 to postage.
Yeah. Make it
Make it
10 and then the rest in temporary staff?
did you get all those numbers, so that we know exactly what goes into the temporary staff? Well, I think I'm confused on the additional pay for election day precinct officials. It says increase each official's pay by $25, and that's a total of $5,000. That would be everyone, that's what we approved at the last meeting, correct?
You approved that for the one-stop official,
This is for election day.
election day. And you
This
have a
is-
sheet in your packet telling you what the pay is now. Chief Judge, 200.
Yeah, I saw
Judge-
I saw that.
Okay, okay. And that's just a suggestion, and it's not quite the 5,000.
Okay, let's leave that. That looks like that's been covered sufficiently. So, can you recap what we suggested with those numbers, please?
Oh, me, postage,
Or anyone,
okay, postage increased to 10,000,
that's additional, 5,000.
I mean, for the total.
Gotcha.
Advertising, 3,000,
Additional 1,500.
printing, 15,000,
Additional 5,000.
deep cleaning, 8,000. And the remaining amount, which I don't know, I didn't subtract, would be under temporary staff.
I'm getting so much, 19.5?
I was waiting for, I thought Amy was doing it.
My calculator doesn't seem to
What
work.
was for the
Have you done it?
extra for printing?
Printing would be 15,000 rather than 10.
Got 19.5 additional.
Which leaves a balance of
92, 530, 19.5, 0, 3, 10, 12, 11, 1, 1, 2, 138, 64. $20,000 roughly. 20?
23.
Yeah, but, I did this with pen and pencil. Someone would use a calculator to do it.
What'd you come up with, Amy?
I'm sorry, I thought y'all were doing that. I was just writing my totals, making sure I had them correct. Let me go back.
$112.30 is what I get.
That's correct. Well, let me restate that. That's what I have. Which may or may not be correct. I feel good someone else got one, that's what I'm saying.
So I get $26,034.
Yes,
138?
yes, I do too. 26,034.
Do we want to, how much do we want to add for the temporary?
We're gonna make that, $36,034.
let's glance down this one more time and make sure we don't see anything else that we need to add some money to.
And then you feel with a certain amount of certainty that there's not any major items that we've left off that's not included on this list.
As far as I know.
Wonder if we need to add some more to the PPE supplies, just in case.
I think that would probably be a great idea, because we don't know.
Let's put 5,000 more, and
That's what I was
15, and
Yeah.
then do $31,034 for staff.
31, 34, yeah.
So let's take it from the top. The first number remains the same at $51,030, correct?
Yes,
The second temporary staff would now be
31,034.
31.
34. 5,000 for the election day precinct officials.
That stays the same.
10,000 for postage.
Got it.
3,000 advertising.
Ditto.
15,000 for PPE.
Gotcha.
15,000 for printing.
Yes.
8,000 for deep cleaning.
Yes.
That comes to a total of
138,
138.
64.
Very good.
But we still don't have the figures for the HAVA money.
No.
Now, does that have to be presented to the commissioners as well?
It's my understanding from Pat, yes.
Well, now how are we gonna work on that?
I'll get with Kim and see if she can't give me something in the ballpark figure. A printer for the deputies did, that's not gonna cost a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. You
Now,
do that.
the one for the cards may cost a little more.
But now the bottom line is, this total should equal the amount of money that's been delegated to us.
For
Well,
Hava,
The CARES.
Well,
The HAVA,
It
no,
doesn't matter.
no, it's-
HAVA's a range. There's a minimum, there's a maximum,
Yeah.
and we need to
Okay.
fall somewhere in
Okay.
between.
in between us.
And what we currently have now, we're already there, but if we add another $5,000, I'm just pulling numbers out of the air.
But we do need to get that in so we can get that security system.
is there anything else that you guys can think of that should be on the Hava funds?
Is it any other security inside that we would need?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I've had the locks changed on the boardroom and the absentee room, because we need more space to process the ballots when the time comes to process those, to get them mailed out. So those 3 doors will be key to light, and no one will have a key except the 3 staff members. And we will let people in when it's time to process, because we will have live ballots in there. So, but that's already been, he's fixed that for us. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. The cleaning lady, I assured her that I don't want her in here with live ballots. So I assured her that one of us would be here when she decided to clean. And she likes to clean real early in the morning, but I said, can you bring it down just a little bit to maybe 6 o'clock, something like that.
AM?
She usually cleans the governmental center like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then comes down here.
To get it when it's empty.
Can y'all think of anything else that needs to be added or adjusted? Bonnie? Leanna? Well, I think we need to bring this to a vote. Do I have a motion to submit this request as we have discussed today with the changes to present to the county commissioners for their
moved.
approval. Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, so Amy, will you get this prepared and submit it to them? Now, in our packet, we have other things that Amy, you want to go over with us?
This is just things that if you needed more information to help you prepare the document. I went over the one stop that you voted to increase plus the mandatory 4 hours. I tried to make, it's like I said, I tried to make it simple. If it's not, I'll be happy to go over that. And then you have ledger sheets showing what took place in 2016. I have included the workers that were used during 2016, the hours.
Excuse me.
And then I have for 2016, the number of absentee ballots that were requested. And then,
Wait just a minute, I have a question.
okay,
Never mind. It's too late, but I do see a name on here that is, and this is for the 2016,
uh-huh,
but for someone who works in another department.
mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, do you see what I'm talking about? But what I'm curious about is, I thought we paid the people who worked in another department. It's all the maintenance people on this report. That's my question. Do you have any idea?
No, ma'am, I do not. I don't see any of the others. Just in glancing, I do not. I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh, it's okay, I was just curious how that overtime for that department is coded. Excuse me. But okay, go ahead, Amy.
And then the next two items, this is your physical budget for what we have right now. I mean, we've not spent a whole lot, obviously. You will see one that you may question in precinct supply, not precinct supplies, general supplies. It's a large number. I didn't order that.
What is it?
It's calendars for precinct officials that had already been ordered.
Is that the red, white, and blue ones?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I would like to make a suggestion. If you give them out to the precinct officials and you have some left over, to put them up here to be given out, because last year there was a big stack of them left over and nobody used.
Absolutely. We have, there's quite a few, so we could go ahead and do that. But I just wanted you to know what that expense, I didn't order that. And then the next budget report, this is from fiscal year 16-17, so it would encompass the presidential election, just so you have some idea of what the expenses were, what we could be looking. I've not gone over it in detail, but it's some of the things you could be looking at.
So Amy, is that the 1,181.25 to Myron Manufacturing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's for calendars?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
I want to say 250, but I have to pull the receipt.
And tell me again who the recipients are?
Myron?
No. Who are the people that
Oh,
get
they're
it?
passed out to the precinct workers,
Okay.
and to, I don't know who else they're given to, but I know they are always given one of them.
And maybe previously we've received them as well?
Have we received anything from the state about when we have to go for our one-stop plan?
in the meeting yesterday morning, they said as far as they knew, it would be August the 31st for the plans that were not unanimous.
That is a Monday.
But they didn't mention the process.
They did not. And the last two items that you guys have is an elections checklist. And if you look to the left-hand side, you see the month and you can kind of gauge when an election is going on, what type of an election. And it tells you what should be happening. And then the next one is the elections personnel task list. Kind of a breakdown of what each person should be doing. But it's, I mean,
That's good to know.
it's nothing set in stone, but it's kind of some idea of, you know, where we should be and what we should be doing.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Any of you have anything?
Are we going to look at our calendars and look at times to visit the sites so that we can talk about what we need to do there with entrances and exits and egresses, all those things?
I think we do need to do that. I will, Royce may be available. I'll discuss it with him, and then one of us will send out an email to get the dates.
We also need to talk about the maps teams, because the new law states there to be Republican and Democrat, that you can use unaffiliated, but it would have to be a unanimous vote from the board to do that. And we only have 2 unaffiliated. Do we not have any Republican or Democrat that could fill that position, those 2 positions?
We had a lot of no's. We checked with a lot of people. I do have Valerie Kellen, who you guys used as the chief judge of the Draper.
That's right.
Sorry.
I think, yeah.
I think it's Draper, yeah, I think so.
But I'm thinking if we're discussing personnel, that should
Oh,
be
yeah,
in
you're
closed
exactly
session.
right. All right, but
I'm
it's in our
sorry.
packet.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yep,
But there's a possibility for more, yes.
okay.
So
And would you send us those names at some point so we can, at our next meeting?
I suggest we put that on our agenda for Tuesday.
Okay, and I hope to have the one-stop schedule ready of the people who have accepted and the people who have declined. And also, I want to do, my plan, I want to do it on one sheet and then on there, put who the chief judge has requested. To hopefully make it a little easier, if you guys agree with the people that the chief judge would like to have, if possible, for the ones that have declined.
We'll discuss that Tuesday when we
Okay.
go into close. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? Jeff?
No.
Leanna? Bonnie? Amy, do you have anything else for us?
Mhm.
Okay, if not at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Are we gonna look at dates or no?
No.
No.
What I was going to suggest is I was going to contact Royce and see, maybe everybody could pick some dates they would think available, and we could discuss that on Tuesday.
I think that'll be perfectly fine.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Motion, meeting adjourned. We'll see you on Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the Commissioners' chambers. Thank you all for doing this today. It was a little time consuming.